I just finished up this Christmas tree decoration with removable ornaments. I'll show you guys a step-by-step of how I made this, and then stick around to the end of the video and I'll explain why I think this could be the perfect way to make some extra money this holiday season. I chose this piece of wood because I needed something that was on the wider side. I already had the guys at the sawmill surface this for me because the spot that I want to use is 14 inches wide, and that's a little bit too wide for the planer that I have. I'm using this template to help me with placement. I originally had this pushed all the way to the end of the board, but I didn't like this spot right here. This actually has a crack that runs all the way through the piece of wood. So I'm placing the template to where it just barely misses that spot. I'll use this area for the tree portion, and what I cut off here, I can just use that for a future project. This template I made will actually serve a dual purpose. It's going to allow me to trace the outline to this Christmas tree shape, but I've also went ahead and drilled 6 holes exactly where I want those ornaments to be. I'm going to use my drill and just barely drill into the surface of the walnut, so that way when I take it over to the drill press to drill those larger holes, I know exactly where they need to go. For the ornaments, I want them to have a 2-inch diameter, so I have to drill some 2-inch holes. I'm not sure how thick I want those ornaments to be, so I'm going to start with a depth of 1/4 inch and go from there. The idea I have to make these ornaments removable is going to have 2 separate parts. I'll place a metal strike plate in the middle of each one of these 2-inch holes that I've already drilled, and then I'll also put a tiny magnet on the back side of each ornament. All right, because the strike plates are extremely thin, I didn't really need to drill all that deep. I wanted them to sit just below the surface, so that way when I set them in epoxy, they should be flush. I went ahead and made some sample pieces so I could compare thickness. This is going to be 5/16 and this is a 1/2 inch. The one that's 5/16, I feel like it looks really good. There's just not a whole lot to grab onto when you need to change out that ornament. The one that's a 1/2 inch, plenty to grab onto. I just think it looks a little bit goofy. So I think I'm gonna go a little bit thicker than this and shoot for 3/8. I think that'll be a perfect thickness. I'm gonna make these ornaments out of maple because I think that'll look really nice. I'm gonna pick this piece right here because it's already at a 1/2 inch, so it's not gonna take much work to get that down to 3/8. If I was going to be making a lot of these to sell, I would definitely want to set something up on my CNC so that way I could cut a whole bunch of circles at once and make sure it was done accurately. But for the sake of the video, I'm just going to cut these out and shape them by hand. To drill the holes for the magnets, I'm going to be using a 3/8 Forstner bit, and I'm only going to drill 1/8 of an inch deep because I feel like that's all it really needs, and I don't want that point from the bit to poke through the other side. The holes I drilled in the back of these to hold the magnets has the magnet sitting pretty loose and below the surface. The plan now is to take a drop of clear epoxy to hold that magnet down, and then once that dries, come back and fill that hole with black tinted epoxy. So hopefully you won't be able to see the magnet after that. I used a 1/4 inch roundover for both the front and back of this piece, and I definitely think that was the right choice because I love the way this edge profile turned out. Before I sand and finish this tree, I want to set the metal plates in epoxy to make sure they're not going to fall out. So I think this turned out really nice. I'm making mine into a wall decoration. So all I have to do now is put a little hanger on the back of this. I think this would also look really nice as a shelf decoration. The only thing you really need to do differently is put a base on there instead of the hanger. Now let's talk about why I think this is a money-making project. You're obviously going to make money on that first initial sale, but what I like most about this is the potential to turn that first customer into a repeat customer by offering additional ornament sets. For someone that's looking for more of a minimalist or a natural design, you could offer ornament sets that are just plain wood, like this ornament set that I made that's completely maple wood. Or you could take that a step further and offer ornament sets that incorporate multiple different types of wood, like this ornament set that I made that has maple, cherry, and oak. Another idea that I think would work really well would be laser engraving little Christmas themed images onto each ornament. I think the people that are going to be buying this type of item would really love that. Sticking with the theme of laser engraving, another good option could be offering personalization, and that could be in the form of names or special life events that are laser engraved onto the ornaments. When using the laser to engrave the images on these ornaments, something that works really well for me is I have a piece of wood that I've drilled a 2-inch hole in, so that way I can place the ornaments in the exact same spot every single time. For the initial alignment, I start with cedar wood blanks just because I find that the cedar wood is a lot easier to shape than the hardwood. With the first run, I'm usually always a little bit off, as you can tell with the alignment there. Then I make some minor adjustments, get the image centered to where I want it to be, and then I move on to the hardwood. And then the final option I think you could offer would be ornaments that combine wood and epoxy, or even solid epoxy circles. And I included this last because I feel like with the 2-inch size of these ornaments, your options are kind of limited here. I thought this ended up being a fun little project. Let me know if you guys have any other ideas on ornament designs. And like always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.